Hi Autophiles, Subhash here with the GAC GS3 Emzoom Premium R. That's a lot of words. This is Tan Chong's new Chinese car partner, and it's pretty good. I'm going to give you a likes and dislikes based on the review I shot with Bo yesterday. Sorry about this setup, I didn't bring my tripod, so I'm shooting this freehand with my mic, which if I put here kind of just sags my whole shirt down. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, but let's try to get through this as fast as possible. Starting with my first like, the design. The design of this car, yes, you can say it's a little bit derivative. I think Peugeot is the first brand that came to mind, but the more I look at it, I think I see a bit of Cupra. Cupra is a brand that is a spin-off of Seat. The Cupra brand has a lot of this angular styling as well, especially with all this aggression in the front. On the inside, I don't think it's like anything I've ever seen before, and yet it looks like a lot of different things that I have seen before. Like that gear selector looks very current gen BMW. Some things that I haven't seen before, this pattern looks a little bit unfamiliar, and you can't deny that they put a lot of effort into this. So yes, the design, actually, I really like the effort. Hold on, we have a tree. That's my favorite kind of electric vehicle. So a lot of Chinese cars look really good and they're well built. This car is no exception. I just like the fact that they went all out on the blue without holding back. You know, you got blue stitching, blue trim here and there, and then you got additional blue highlights on this pattern over here. And then you got the blue safety belts. It's just, yeah, non-stop blue. The only thing that's not blue is up there, the headliner. That could have been blue, but I think it would have been too much.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, even the air vents are blue. And it's not tacky at all. This is professional level design work, I would say. Even on the outside, I think the only thing that looked a little bit awkward is this spoiler here coming together into a single third brake light. Even though this is a very difficult shape to kind of work with and get done properly, the proportion is kind of perfect for this segment. Plus you got the hidden door handles. I'm not a big fan of these, but they don't feel flimsy at all, and they're kind of intuitive to figure out. It's a real A for effort kind of thing lah. But yeah, subjectively, whether you like the angular look or not is really up to you. Little bit of tacky stuff going on with this R-style body kit, but it's nothing so crazy that you just get turned off altogether, except for maybe these orange stripes. But let's move on to my first dislike, and you get to see my sweaty face for the first dislike. I think my first dislike is that they went a little bit too hard on the sporty marketing. So there was a GS3 before this, and it was utterly uncool, but it was cheap. This time it's a little bit more expensive, but they've pushed the cool factor up a little bit, and they've also pushed the power up. This is a pretty fast car. I think in the segment it might be the fastest. 0 to 100 in 7.5 seconds. That's not slow. So they did all this and they wanted to emphasize that it's a performance oriented crossover, and that's why they call it the Emzoom. But the car is not sporty to drive. It's fast, no doubt. It's super duper fast in a straight line. The car can take a corner, but it's very typical Chinese vehicle behavior to not give you enough feedback from the steering wheel. You just don't know when you're going to run out of grip. The HRV feels genuinely fun to drive. You know, you want to push it. This car, you don't want to push it. You want to take it slow, and it's just so enthusiastic. It just wants to go as fast as possible. And you've got all these sporty items like the twin exhaust and that little exhaust flap that we'll talk about later. And yeah, the Emzoom branding and all. It just like makes it sound like they really wanted to market it as a sporty car. It's just not dynamic. It's not fun to drive in that way, but it's competent enough. I dislike that. I think they should have been a bit more honest with the marketing push. On to something I did like, which is that flappy exhaust thing. Let me show you. Air conditioning. So all you gotta do is press this. You saw that little valve. It does open up, and the sound is real. The exhaust fumes that come out are real. I like that a Chinese manufacturer that is not even making sporty cars is trying to do something real with their exhaust. It just feels very genuine, you know, like they actually said, you know what, let's spend some money and do this the right way. And I like that. I think their heart was in the right place. Now, is it necessary in a car of this class? I don't think so. Can you get away with something like this with just some sound piped in through the speakers? I think you can also. But it's always nice to see a car manufacturer spend money doing something that is not necessary and is real. I don't know how else to word that, but I think that's what I like. But on to something I dislike. And the thing I dislike is down here. It's this thing. And the thing I dislike is how badly tuned this DCT is. It's almost unacceptable in 2024 to have a DCT that does not know how to behave itself. So I'm just going to demo right now. My brake is going to go off, so no brake input. wow, the car is lurches backwards, and then the power just is too much. You know, when you're parking, you need a little bit of finesse. You need it to slowly creep. You don't want it to like creep like that. It's just not right, man. It's just difficult to control, and we're not even in sports mode. This happens in eco mode, this happens in normal mode, happens in every mode, because that initial grab of the clutch is just not natural at all. I don't like that at all, and I think it can get very tiring in traffic and parking. Basically, as a daily driver, this kind of gearbox response is not acceptable. Now, what about the competitors? The CVTs from HRV and Omoda 5 don't have this issue. The Proton X50 has a little bit of this stickiness issue. It's a little bit sticky, but I think Proton solved the issue a little bit more. It's acceptable in my mind. You can drive that car daily and you won't get super irritated with the little sticky behavior of the first gear, or when you're taking off from a standstill, reverse or forward. But it's not all doom and gloom for this car. There's one more life to save it. And maybe I'll stay in the car because it's very hot outside. And I think it's this. I think they priced it as low as they can. Now, there's a lot of complaints because they didn't lower the price after CKD-ing this spec. They kept it at 127. But now in October, well, now it's November, but in October, the latest news is that they started to CKD the entire lineup and they added another variant, which is a bit pointless. But yeah, the new CKD lineup until the end of 2024 is actually discounted. So this car is 120,000 ringgit, and that is, I think, as low as they can bring it, because the base model car, the like nothing Kosong spec one, is 104. There's a mid-spec model which is 117 and now discounted by 5k, so it's 112. Yeah, correct, 112. They're adding definitely about 6-7k worth of hardware when you go up to that. Yeah, you add another 8k to get to 120, and you get this, you get the sunroof, you get the flappy exhaust thing, you get the wireless charger, you get the leather seats, you get a couple of additional ADAS items. It's just a lot. When I looked at the spec sheet, I'm like, yeah, that feels like about 8k worth of stuff. This is as good as they can do, value-wise. I don't expect them to bring the price down any further, especially when you look at the competition. 120 is about where the Cherry Omoda 5 is selling, but here's where it becomes a dislike. And I guess since this is the last shot of the video, I can go outside and get a bit sunburnt for you. So the last dislike is that even though this is technically as low as they can bring the car before deep discounts start, I don't think the value proposition is that good. So why do I say it's not great value? Well, initially in my review, I did think it was good value, but then Bo brought up something. This is cheaper than the HRV, but it's not that much cheaper. Yes, it offers a lot more and it's cheaper, so you might say yes, value is very good. But yeah, the conservative buyers are always going to be there. They're always going to go towards the HRV. It's not excellent because the range of options are huge. And I think this kind of car, this kind of vehicle, the experimenters out there are probably going to experiment on an EV, which is not that far off from this. They're going to experiment on the GAC J7, which is a little bit bigger than this and not that much more expensive. And the price sensitive are going to stick to the conservative cars like the HRV. And now it looks like the X50 is being accepted as a conservative car because it's been around for 4 years. So that's my handheld likes and dislikes for the GAC GS3 Emzoom Premium R. Thanks for watching.